All right, everybody. How are we doing today? It is Monday, about 10 a.m. here, Monday, April 27th. I have been absent for a long time, but I don't want to go ahead and get into any of that stuff right now. I'm actually going to be on a fireside chat with Ken Bozak today at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, so just a few hours from now. I want to go ahead and get my analysis done before that, but in terms of my absence and everything that's been going on with me personally, I'll probably get into a little bit more detail on that on the podcast with Ken. But before I go ahead and get into Bitcoin, I actually wanted to talk about what's going on with oil. Apparently, crypto Twitter has been turning into oil Twitter, and a lot of people that are not familiar with traditional markets really have no freaking idea what the hell is going on. Everyone's like, oh yeah, let's just buy some oil, right? I made a meme about it that was taken way out of proportion. Everyone thought that I was serious when I was buying WTI and stuff. Obviously, it's a joke, and I'll get into that in just a moment here. So let's flip over to the charts real fast. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the oil chart. Okay, this is on a 5-minute chart here. Let me actually go to like an hour chart. Okay, so what was happening here is we ended up getting this huge capitulation, right, all the way through the last day. Pretty much the last couple days of April, like the last few weeks of April, right? We had this huge dip here. And, well, what's been going on? Well, a lot of people were buying into oil because it was so low. So we saw this huge price increase, but everything is supply and demand, right? So we don't have a supply problem. And that's basically what's going on right now. We have a major demand issue, right? There's no demand for oil. No one's going on vacations, which means that the airplanes aren't using gasoline. We're running out of places to put it because we're so overproduced now, and it's causing a lot of issues for the market, right? WTI, basically now those WTI contracts are being delivered to Cushing, Oklahoma, and their inventory right now is sitting at a whopping 80%. So it's only going to take maybe another 2 to 3 more weeks until they reach full capacity. They can fit maybe another 20 million barrels there, and then that's going to be it. And so, like I said, this is really a big demand issue and not a supply issue, obviously. And this is going to be a mid to long term. This is going to be a mid to long term thing. So, when we're talking about oil prices and things like that, I mean, just look what happened here, right? So obviously the demand started tapering off, and then all of a sudden we had that one huge day where we capitulated, and we actually just broke down from this bearish pennant here, and now we're way down here. So looking currently on a 1-minute chart, this is what's been going on at the open of the day today. Pretty much right at the open of the day, we just saw this massive drop in price here. So it has been really good. This happened right on open, and the reason why is because basically the USO announced that they're going to do a reverse split. So this is where the technicals come into play here, right? These are things that a lot of most traditional just standalone crypto traders and or forex traders even don't really know about. So what a reverse split is it basically means that they're going to be reducing the number of shares to increase their liquidity, right? Because they're running out of liquidity, they're running out of places to store oil. We've got a huge supply problem and no demand for anything. All of the reserves are filling up. Oil tankers are going to start shutting down. They're going to have to start cutting production. And there's a lot of stuff like that going on right now. So what they're planning on doing is a 1-to-8 split. So what that means is for every, let's say that you own shares in the USO ETF, right? So if you guys don't know what an ETF is, go ahead, check my link to my Medium down below. I go ahead and explain every single type of investment vehicle. USO is an ETF, and they're having this 1-to-8 split because they need more liquidity. So at the end of the day, what that means is if you own shares of this ETF, for every 8 shares that you own, it's going to be reduced to 1 single share. And what that does is that increases the net asset value. So that's called the NAV. So when you do a reverse split like this, where you're compacting shares into smaller amounts, what happens is that increases liquidity for the ETF, right? And that's what they need to do. Obviously, everybody knows WTI was trading at like negative $40 last week. It was really bad. It's like unprecedented. Something like this has never really happened before. We've never really experienced this. Even back in 2008, when we had, when oil was super overbought, and it was like $140 a barrel or something, and then we had that huge crash in 2008 when just the whole stock market tanked along with the housing market. That was the whole catalyst for everything. So when that happened, I mean, oil still went down, but it went down to like, I don't know, what did it go down to? Like $10 a barrel or something like that. Let's go to a weekly chart. So we were at $120 a barrel for USO. It went down to $23 basically. So it kind of leveled off there. I mean, good scalp plays in here throughout the years. We had our little ups and our downs and our ebbs and our sways, but this was basically just one giant consolidation, until 2014, when we saw another massive drop. Down in 2016, we got a little bump in 2015. Then we came all the way down to about $7.50 a barrel, which was awesome, right? That was when the gas prices finally started coming down. Everything was finally starting to level off, and we were looking really good. And then slowly the price started building back up. Well, just as the price was starting to build back up, and we got this one correction, and we started leveling off here again. Well, what happened? Well, the coronavirus started happening right in here, right? So that's when everything started shutting down. That's when we started seeing this massive decline in price, and we're just getting this huge drop off in price right now. Right now, it's currently trading at about $2.17 for the USO ETF, which is extremely low. We did break through this major support here that I had drawn. So this count is actually incorrect now. This is not wave 5. I thought that this would potentially be our bottom here, but we just broke through this support, and this is now looking like more of like a triangle. So that's typical of a wave 4. So I'm gonna end up redoing my my count on this. But in terms of price action here, we've never really gone into this territory, right? So there's not really any telling where we're going to be stopping here. I mean, this ETF, upon the reverse split and more people finding out about this news and stuff, we could just see a major sell-off. And I think that's the beginning of what we just saw right here this morning, is because this morning this was just announced. So anybody that was still holding on to, like $3 shares and $4.50 shares of this ETF, they started dumping all of their positions. Because a reverse split, that's really bad for an ETF. Like, that's a really bearish sign. That's not good. That means that they're running out of liquidity. The ETF is struggling, and they're running out of money. That's basically what I wanted to get into with oil. I know that I don't really do too much traditional markets on this channel and everything, but there's been a lot of talk about it. There's been a lot of to do about it. So I wanted to just kind of go ahead and set the record straight, explain what's going on, and give you guys some current news about what's actually happening with the ETF USO and WTI, how all of this stuff works. There's a lot more FA that goes into oil, especially because there's a lot of different countries involved. There's a lot of global producers of oil that are involved in all of this. And if you really want to dig deeper into that, I highly recommend it. It's actually a really good read. It's actually pretty interesting. There's some different podcasts out there that I can recommend. If you guys want to DM me on Twitter, I can go ahead and give you a list of some good podcasts about all of the details of this. There are people that know way more about what's really going on with oil and what the individual countries and producers are doing and the conversations that they're having even. So if you want resources on that, I can absolutely give them to you. Just reach out to me. So on that note, let's go over and take a look at Bitcoin. So let's go ahead and make this full screen here and back to the charts. So I went ahead and I redid my Elliott wave count. If we go ahead and we look at our 1 hour chart, I do have kind of like the micro counts in here. all the way through this big rising wedge that we had. If you guys really want to get into this, feel free. You can take a screenshot, use it as reference if you want. But I basically have this whole rising wedge as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, but this is the start of another one. And we had a smaller 5-wave sequence up into this one before we start correcting and starting to go sideways. Anyway, in terms of price action here, I did just want to give you guys like the current Elliott wave count that I do have. As of right now on the 1 hour chart, I do feel like we are going to see another push up. And the reason why is because the halving obviously is still a few days off. Supposedly we are 2 weeks, 20 hours, 29 minutes away. So basically 2 weeks, basically 15 days away. So about 2 weeks away. And that would put the halving, where 27th. So that would put the halving on May 11th, pretty much. Somewhere over here. So I'll actually move this. So that actually makes sense for my count. So basically, I think what's happening now, and I've said this on Twitter a couple times, is I really think that what's happening right now is people are buying the rumor, and this is the buying the rumor scenario before the selling of the news, right? So I do have us going up higher here. I do think that we are just starting. This was like a wave 1, and this might be a 2 that we're completing now into a 5th wave of our larger 3. And then I think during the halving and stuff, that's when we're going to see a wave 4. So a lot of people think that, we're going to make newer lows and stuff. I really don't think that that's going to be the case here. Just in terms of this price action, this is basically our all-time support here. And this is our all-time high support. And then this is like our main range that we've pretty much been trading in since way back here. I guess October. So quite a long time. We did have a throw over here on that massive little capitulation that we had. So we did see these things starting to happen. And I think what's going to end up happening here is I think this halving has the potential to throw us into another scenario that was similar to 2017, where we saw just a massive exponential increase where we went full parabolic. And don't quote me on this, but the reason why I think that that is set to happen is because we've basically just been, if you look at the weekly chart, we've pretty much just been in a really long bear market. Like, yeah, sure, we've had these pops up to 14K, 10K, whatever. But at the end of the day, this has all been lower highs, and we've started to make lower low or higher lows here. So I think that if we end up getting a higher low here, if we can stay above, like 4,000, I think that that would be very bullish for Bitcoin during a halving, because as everyone knows, during a halving, well, what ends up happening? Well, the mining rewards are less. A lot of miners start shutting down. They're operating at a negative, and the hash rate decreases as well. So that's also not good. Slower transaction times. People are transacting it less. So that's just the nature of the beast. So what I'm looking at here is I really think that if we make a higher low and we see something like this over time, we make a higher low, somewhere here, around, after the halving or whatever, in the next month or whatever, and we finally hit our low, if we sit around $4,500, somewhere on a line like this, that would be very, very good for us. We do stand a chance of, if we're making that our new base, look at how high we came, from being down at 3,100. If we make 4,500 or 5,000 our base, we stand to go that much higher, and it would be that much easier for us to push and make a higher high compared to here, which would be very, very good. So I am looking for something like that. I am kind of hopeful about it. We are going into, like I said, a time where we're starting to buy the rumor, and then people are going to sell the news, and we're going to see. I do still think that we are going to see a sell-off. So if we come down to the daily chart and we take a look at our Ichimoku, what I thought was interesting about the Ichimoku cloud here is the cloud and our 200 EMA line and our 50 and our 100 have been playing out extremely well. Like, we use this as perfect support down here. When we first capitulated from our all-time high back here in 2017, we use this as perfect support when we hit our 3100 or 3180 low. And now we just hit that again perfectly right here after this little session of capitulation over these last couple weeks that we had, right? What I'm expecting to happen on this weekly chart, especially looking down here at this volume, is yeah, we've had a lot of increase in price here, and we're getting higher lows, we're getting higher highs in price, and we're getting this really, really steep incline. And at the same time down here, we're getting this really sharp decline in volume. So obviously the volume was starting to taper off after this, but from this candle on, we had this pretty big doji here, and the volume's just been really, really tapering off, which is not necessarily a good sign. Our RSI on the weekly is literally sitting right here in the middle, and our overall momentum indicator is still sitting bearishly along with our MACD indicator. It has not been broken into bullish territory yet. So looking at all of these indicators and kind of piecing all of that together in terms of the volume on this weekly chart, I think that after seeing so many weeks of bullish volume here, if we don't see an increase in bullish volume and we don't see a real strong increase in demand here for Bitcoin before the halving, then I do expect us to be rejecting, if not right at this 50 EMA, then somewhere close to it, or even perhaps up here. Maybe we get a little pop up to 8,800 or something like that before the halving, and we reject, off of our our Ichimoku indicators and stuff like that. So I do have this where we're at right now is our midline of this entire range or whatever that we've been trading. So that actually works out really well. I drew that from back here using these candles and these wicks way back here. So this has been a very important level here at 78, about 78.50. So this is definitely an area to keep an eye on. It doesn't look like it's working out too hot so far just for today yet, but on the daily chart, we are more bullish than anything else. We did climb above and break above our zero threshold here on our momentum indicator just a couple weeks ago, and we've been bullish ever since. And what's concerning me, though, is that, again, as this price keeps going up, even on our daily chart here, we can see that on our MACD indicator, we keep getting lower highs where we're getting higher highs in price. And our RSI or indicator up here, it's pretty much just going with the flow here, but there definitely is some bearish divergence here playing out on our MACD. So again, getting back onto our lower time frames here, we've had this really steady incline. We're using a combination of the Tenkan-sen or Kijun-sen and our 50 EMA, just all as support here. And this is really a bullish scenario. So, this is one of those times where you have to take the fundamental analysis in terms of the halving, into account and just kind of try and compensate for that within your trading, right? So with everything going on, it's really anybody's best guess. Some people think we're going to capitulate real hard and we're going to see new lows. Some people like myself think that we're going to capitulate, but it's not going to be that bad. There's actually a lot of mining facilities that are thinking about hitting the switch to turn their mining facilities on right at the halving. Specifically, a big mining warehouse that's out in Texas. They're using all cutting edge technology. They've got all their miners submerged in like that special liquid or whatever for that you can run the machines in to keep them cool and stuff. So it disperses heat really well. They're using all solar energy and stuff. So they're not using nearly as much like electricity and stuff to run their miners. And they're actually waiting for the hash rate to go down so that they can turn their miners on and take that hash rate back. I don't think that the hash rate is necessarily going to get that affected, but I do think that we are going to see some panic selling. I do think that we're going to see a lot of FUD on Twitter, obviously, and stuff like that. Everything that goes along with all of the previous halvings. FUD on Twitter, scams, everybody crying that Bitcoin's a Ponzi and all of this other stuff. All of that's going to, play out just like it did in previous years, I'm sure. I hope that you guys enjoyed the analysis. I'm really glad to be back. I'm looking forward to being on Ken Bozak's fireside chat this afternoon. Again, that is at 3 p.m. Eastern time on his channel. Once that's up, I'll go ahead and post it on my Twitter as well. And I hope to see you guys soon. I don't know if I'm going to be doing 2 videos a week, but I certainly want to do at least 1 and start getting back in tutorials. If you guys have ideas for tutorials or there's specific things you want to learn about, let me know down in the comments section below. Make sure you're following me on Twitter to get all of my latest updates, and I will have news coming out later this week about I am going to start my own Discord. Obviously, it's going to be free. I'm no paid group leader or anything like that, but I'm going to use that as my trading journal and for people to basically come in there, talk smack about the markets, whether it's crypto markets, Forex markets, stonks, whatever. Come in there, talk market smack. I'm going to have my trading journal in there. All of it's going to be completely free. So just kind of an area for hopefully some people that are still learning to just share information, throw some charts back and forth, and, promote discussion in a healthy community. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing. Take it easy. Make sure that if you're still under quarantine, that you're following the rules. Wear masks, wear gloves if you do have to go out. And, not only just doing it for yourself, but if you live with other people, roommates, family, elderly people, anything like that, just, be respectful, wear the gloves, wear the mask. If you get it and it doesn't affect you, there's no telling that if you don't know you have it, that you give it to your grandma or something like that, and it could cause some serious issues with your family. Anyway, like I said, be safe, be well. I hope everybody has a fantastic week. And if I get to do a video, my daughter's playing back here. Hopefully I'll get to do a video on Friday, and I will see you guys then. Happy trading.